Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to cover the nominal and real gross domestic product GDP. Okay, so we already know that the nominal GDP is the value of final goods and services evaluated at current year prices. So it's basically it's a value, so it's in dollars, right? Of final, it's not intermediate, it's not used goods and services, so it's final goods and services, and are basically evaluated at current year prices, so current prices. Okay, the real GDP, it's again a value, so it's in dollars, of again final goods and services, so it's the same until now, but these are evaluated at base year prices. So we have to determine what is the base year that we will use in order to compute the real GDP. The real GDP is used in the computation of growth, because whether I'm talking about nominal or real, I'm talking about prices times quantity. So if I care more about the production and not the changes in prices, then I would use the real GDP. So the real GDP fixes the prices, makes it constant, and kind of focus on the movement in production. However, if you don't care about whether the movement in the value is related to production or prices, then you will go with nominal GDP, which is usually used as a reflection of aggregate demand in the economy. So let's take this example. So suppose that we have 2 years, 2005 and 2011, and suppose that we have, for both of these 2 years, we have certain quantity and prices. So we have quantity, QTY, prices, and again quantity and prices. And suppose we have 3 goods or services. So we have a service, eye exam, we have a good which is pizza, we have another good which is textbook or textbooks. And suppose the production in the whole economy, we're going to make a very simple example, 80 units, 90 units, 15, and the prices are $40, 11, 90, and the production here is 100 units, 80 and 20, and the prices are 50, 10, and 100. And the question is, these are usually the typical questions that you will get are to compute the real GDP, the nominal GDP, the GDP deflator, which is the measure of prices. So usually those are like 3 main questions that usually you will see. So suppose that we want to compute the real GDP in 2011 using 2005 as base year. So I actually care about the production, but I'm going to fix the prices for the 2005. So we're actually going to multiply these 2 columns, right? So it's going to be like 100 times 40 plus 80 times 11 plus 20 times 90, and the answer is going to be 6680. Okay, and then the nominal GDP, suppose you have a question about nominal GDP in the same year. We're not using any base here because these are current prices. So quantity times the price of the same year, this times this, and this times this, plus this times this. So it's going to be 100 times 50 plus 80 times 10 plus 20 times 100, and the nominal GDP would be 7,800. Okay. Let me keep writing on the same slide so that we have the table in front of us. So let me write here. Suppose that the question that we have is the computation of real GDP in real GDP in 2005, but using the base 2005. Do you notice that this means that I'm going to take this production times the price? So this times this, this times this, this times this. So this is actually equivalent to the nominal GDP, right, in 2005. So you will actually get the same number, which is going to be equal to 8040 plus times 11 plus 15 times 90. You will get this number as 5,540. So whether the question is about real GDP in 2005 using 2005 as a base year, it's actually the same as nominal GDP in 2005. Okay? So, suppose you have a question about the computation of GDP deflator. The GDP deflator uses actually the information about nominal and real GDP. Okay, so suppose that we need to compute the GDP, which is a measure of prices, as you know. So GDP deflator in 2005. GDP deflator in 2005 is actually equal to the nominal GDP in 2005 divided by the real GDP in 2005. And we did already said that these are actually the same. So, and then after you get that, you actually multiply this whole thing times 100. So actually it's going to be this number time divided by itself times 100. So you will get this number as 5540 over 5540 times 100, and the answer would be just equal an index, because the GDP deflator is simply an index, so it's an index that is equal to 100 units. Okay. Another computation of the GDP deflator, let me write it here. So suppose that we want to compute the GDP deflator for 2011, right? So I'm going to take the nominal in 2011 divided by the real in 2011 times 100. So it's going to be equal to 7,800 over 6,680 times 100, and you will get this as something equivalent or almost close to 117. Okay, so this one is simply telling us that prices has increased by 17%. Prices used to be in 2005 used to be 100, which is the base. It has increased to 117 in 2011, so there is a jump by 17%, and you know how to get this number. So 117 minus 100 over 100, then it's going to be equal to, and of course times 100, it's going to be equal to 17%. So there is a 17% jump in prices, because GDP deflator is a measure of prices from the 2005 all the way to 2011. Okay, so to sum up, you basically compute GDP different types, nominal, real. We use them to get the deflator, and the deflator is used to compute the inflation, right? Or the changes in prices over 1 year to the next, over 1 year and then another year 10 years ago, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and if you have any question, please post on the discussion forum.